Hi everyone, and welcome to stage 3 of this epic walk from Glasgow to Ben Nevis. I was going to do the intro, but I've just discovered a very nice beach shot. First things first. Yes, Glasgow to Ben Nevis, a total of 185 kilometres or 115 miles, done over 7 stages. This is stage 3 from Balmaha, where we just started a few moments ago, up to Inverarnan. That's 34 kilometres or 21 miles. I'm really not looking forward to this stage because this is part of the West Highland Way and it is the hardest of all the stages. I've actually done this part of this walk twice before, once northbound, once southbound, and I swore I would never do it again. So here I am doing it a third time with you guys. Yes, the first time I did this walk I tore the ligament in my right knee and I was walking funny for a few months. And the second time I cracked my skull against the branch of a tree. I've still got a star-shaped fracture here, which actually probably explains a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, and if I can see it, I will point that tree out to you. Right, I have to cross the river here because it's been raining and the rocks are a bit slippery, and that has caught me off guard. Weather report for this morning was down at Balmaha, pleasant, sunny. As you head north towards the northern end of Loch Lomond, the possibility of a shower. I think it's the other way around. As soon as I left Balmaha, it's been chucking it down with rain. This could be a very long, very wet walk. Anyway, first point of reference is Rowardennan, which is 12 kilometres away. I'll speak to you when we're closer. Well, we're at the 5 kilometre point, so far so good. No aches, no pains. And I'm being very careful because, well, I've got a bit of a reputation with this part of the track. I always end up with a serious injury of some sort, so I'm being very careful. The other good news is it stopped raining. That shower must have just been a local shower. The forecast this morning said there was a 10% chance of a shower in Balmaha. That was the 10%. Now it's partly cloudy, partly sunny. The scenery is really starting to pick up now. Well, this is Rowardennan. There's not a lot in Rowardennan apart from a nice pub, a hotel, a car park. But it is the starting point if you want to walk up Ben Lomond. Now, Ben Lomond is 974 metres high, 3,193 feet. It's the most southerly Munro in Scotland. A Munro is a Scottish term for a mountain which is over 3,000 feet or 914 metres. It doesn't sound much on the world scale, but we've got 282 of these peaks, so for a small country, we've got a lot of hills. Anyway, Rowardennan also marks an important point because this is the first of my chicken out points. Now, I have to be perfectly blunt here. When you get to a certain age, you're more prone to accidents. As you can tell, I've did an injury to my knee once, I headbutted a tree once. It happened on this leg of the West Highland Way. So I have chicken out points. Now if I decide that at the 12 km mark where I am now, if I've had enough, I can get across Loch Lomond on a ferry to the village of Tarbet, where there's buses and trains and civilization. Now I'm going to keep going. There are 2 more chicken out points, and they're there just in case. Always have a plan B. Rowardennan is also important because it's the end of the bitumen. From here I think there's a mile or 2 of gravel road, and then it just peters out and it's a track, and you're in the wilderness, baby. So this is where it really gets serious. You might be looking at this track thinking, that doesn't look too hard. That's because it's not. I think it was originally used by the local farms or the Forestry Commission before this became a national park. I think, from memory, this track goes all the way to Inversnaid, which is a very large hotel. It's 24 kilometres from Balmaha, and beyond that point it gets rugged. And that is where it gets serious. So this is the calm before the storm, enjoying the water views, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying the peace and quiet. Ptarmigan Lodge is a welcome landmark. It marks 15 kilometres, not quite halfway to Inverarnan, but not far off either. Not only is completing the West Highland Way a great personal challenge, but it's also a great way of raising money. I just passed 4 people back there. 3 of them were backing up one guy who was an amputee, and they were all wearing their blue West Highland Way t-shirts, and I thought, good on you, son, good on you. And you've got the hardest part already done as well. So if he can do it, I can do it. I was just thinking, it's funny how time plays tricks on your memory. I last walked this section of the West Highland Way northbound, as I'm doing now, about 8 years ago, and I always remembered this part of the track for some reason. But it's changed in 8 years. It used to be much straighter, it was much more gravel, and the actual path itself is a lot wider. But this is definitely it. This is just a little taster of what's to come. Whew. Inversnaid, the next checkpoint, is in about 2 kilometres. We might have a little rest and then we'll get ready for the hard part. Some parts of the track are absolutely sodden, but I hope the hard part of this walk isn't like this. Jeez, whoa. What a nightmare. Some sections are totally dry and some are an absolute quagmire. In fact, my right foot is wet. That's the one thing I didn't want to happen. Now here we go again. Inversnaid. Now for the hard part. Okay, that was Inversnaid Hotel, 24 kilometres from Balmaha. You can drive there if you want to, but you've got to go that way, and then up the way, and that's about 48 kilometres by road. Right, good news, only 10 kilometres to go until we get to Inverarnan. We're in for the hard part now. And in fact, Inverarnan was chicken out point number 2, because from there you can catch a little ferry across Loch Lomond to Tarbet, where you've got some nice fancy hotels, buses, trains, and I could be home by dinner time tonight. But that's not going to happen. Completing this part of the West Highland Way without hospitalising myself is a major goal. It reminds me of when I was in Naples, Italy. You might be wondering, how can you go from the West Highland Way in Scotland suddenly to Naples? We will get back to West Highland Way in a moment. I went to Naples years ago before YouTube, and I was totally disgusted by the city. It was hot, it was humid, there was the smell of sewage in the air, there was cars parked everywhere blocking the pavements. It was an absolute nightmare, to the point where I decided I'm giving up on Naples, I'm going to go to Pompeii instead. And so when anyone ever mentions Naples to me, I think of that nightmare couple of hours I spent in the city. And I've always wanted to go back and see it again, see if it was possible to erase the bad memories and replace them with something more positive. And this stage of the West Highland Way is the same thing. On the 2 occasions I've tried to walk this section here, I tore the ligament in my right knee, and the second time I cracked my skull on a tree. So 3rd time lucky, guys. I really want to remove the old memories and replace them with something more positive. And you guys are with me as well. If you're spurring me on, I'm sure you are. Right, enough talking, more walking. We've got miles to go yet. Yeah, the going is starting to get tough. My knees feel like jelly. At last, an easy part. Well guys, I'm going to be totally honest with you. That was not as difficult as I remember it to be. I remember on the first and second occasions I thought, how can they have a path that bad, that dangerous, and want to be a world-class long-distance trail? It just didn't make any sense. But there's been a lot of work done to the West Highland Way because that was so notoriously bad. I wonder how difficult this part was before they built the ladders. I've just passed by 4 guys who accused them of being commandos because of the speed they were going. I've actually just passed them again. They've just run out of energy. They asked me how far was there, And at the time I did a quick calculation and I said it's about 7 kilometres. And I should have hit the language. And I said, don't worry, it gets easier. Ah, they always say that. It does actually get easier, just not quite now. Well, we made it to the northern end of Loch Lomond. It gets easier now. I have topped up my water bottles because I've been drinking like a fish. I wouldn't fill them up from a stream in Scotland because you have sheep and cows and things doing things in the fields. But Loch Lomond is well and truly diluted, fresh water, good Scottish water, you can't do better than that. So let's get moving. I think there's about 5 kilometres left. We're nearly there, guys. That farm ruin marks the 30 kilometre mark. Only 4 kilometres to go. Whew, thank goodness. This is what makes the pain of the West Highland Way worthwhile. That was Ardlui Ferry. Checking out point number 3, not required because we'll be in Inverarnan in about 30 minutes. I just got my first glimpse of Beinglas camping ground, which is the end of today's stage. 34 kilometres done. Now this is a family friendly channel, so I won't tell you what went through my mind when I saw it, but it was something similar to, golly, thank goodness we've made it. That was tough. That was really tough. I remember when I first did that and I was heading southbound, I thought I will never do that again. I then did it northbound and I swore I would never do it again. And I've done it again. And I'm swearing I will never do this again. It's too hard, it really is. I'm not saying I'm getting old, I'm just saying it's obviously getting harder. Right, I'll see you when we get to the camping ground. Hooray, we made it! 7 hours 47 minutes. But before I finish this video, I'm going to show you something kind of cute. Well, that ends stage 3. On stage 4 we're going from Inverarnan to Bridge of Orchy, 30 kilometres, 18.5 miles. And it does have its own dangers. The track itself is easy, it's just that you'll be tempted to look at the scenery and probably trip over something and hurt yourself. So there is danger involved. It's a very, very scenic stage and I hope to see you. Please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Thank you for your support. I'm never going to do this again, by the way. And I'll see you next time. And I thought this stage was going to be flat. I am in a serious amount of pain.